or the one variable that's different is us. So we're going to be going over some fun stuff tonight. I'm going to need a volunteer in a minute because we're going to actually show you how, and we're going to use this kind of from a coal market perspective, but then also you'll be able to practice what we're talking about with people that you know and just building rapport. For those of you that were on the Saturday morning training, you heard Colin talking about form. We're going to actually role play that tonight. So you get to see, get to experience. I ate something spicy and touched my eyes and all that. And my eyes are burning now. It's great. So how is everyone on this glorious evening?
Aloha from Hawaii on vacation. We're doing fantastic. Thank you.
It's awesome. So how many of you all might say, well, we're on vacation, so I couldn't make it to the call, and I have this going on and that going on and all that. Just want to commend you guys because y'all are always a part. Y'all were on the leader call from the airplane, and I mean, they just are always there. Yeah, let's talk about, we'll start the call off by talking a little bit about that, because some people, you know, you could put yourself, you could get started in this business, and if you're doing nothing but a professional Zoom participator, that's not going to make you any money, just to let you know. Because there's enough Zooms that we have, and I commend the people that can jump on and can be on all these. But if you have only so many hours in a day that you can work your business, right? And you say, well, I have an hour a day, and you spent that hour every day on a Zoom, and you weren't doing income producing activity, then you were not doing the business. So what is income producing activity? It's when you're actually doing things, talking to people, or doing things that are moving the needle, things that can actually generate an income for you. So on Facebook, commenting on people's stuff isn't necessarily an income producing activity. Now, for those of you that were on the Happy Coffee chat this morning, I was talking a little bit. Let me just do the mute all because I'm having to keep muting people individually because we have a bunch of naughty unmuters every call. And guys, when I joke around like that, it's never to make anybody feel ashamed or whatever, because sometimes, like, I've even been on a diamond and above call, or black diamond and above, whatever it's called, I don't know. And somehow, and I know I didn't press the button, like, because my phone was sitting there, and then somebody is messaging me, Chris, be quiet. Like, or mute your phone, you're naughty unmuter. So I was one of the people. So it happens, and understand that. So what I always like to do is have my phone where I can see it, because somehow it'll unmute itself magically and all that. So pay attention and be cognizant, because there's sometimes that we're not paying attention, or we have other stuff going on in the back, and then you have all this noise and all this, and everybody's hearing that, and you're not even hearing people yell at you to unmute your phone. So, and it can totally disrupt everyone. So when we share that, it's never to attack anyone or make them feel guilty or shamed or anything. I just want to get that out there, because people will always try to find something to sabotage themselves and keep them from creating it, because I have a mean upline or whatever other silly stuff people will come up with. So what the purpose of tonight's call is, and we're going to talk about a few things, but what we're going to do is we're going to show you, because, you know, when we talk about the 6 basic human needs, you have certainty, uncertainty, love and connection, significance, contribution, and growth. So what tonight's call is about growth. And, you know, the funny part is when you hear me tell the story about when I got started in the industry, and, you know, I was a huge success right off the bat. You know, I made a whole $500 in my first 2 years. And most people would have quit. And I was that person that kept getting on calls and kept getting on the trainings. And I did all the things. And I remember I had a story of, as soon as I learn this, then I'm going to do it. As soon as I learn that, then I'm going to do it. As soon as I land a big group, or if this happens or that happens, as soon as the dog catcher, the whatever, I mean, we can come up with all kinds of stuff to hold us back. I ran out of peanut butter or whatever, I had to oil the hinges on the cupboard door because it was squeaking, I mean, whatever, it could be anything, right? Need to clean my toilet, whatever. We can come up with different reasons. As soon as this happens, then I'm going to do it. But the only time that it happens is when we actually make it happen. So one of the things that I'm doing now, and it's funny because Ricky this morning late last night asked me to handle the morning coffee chat. And I'm like, sure. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there going, there's something I'm supposed to be doing. And I didn't know what it was. And I was like, maybe I'll go to the lot and go move some dirt or something. And I was like, I felt like really weird and like almost like I did something wrong or guilt. I didn't know what was going on, but I just felt really whacked out and I didn't know what was happening. And then I get a call at like 7 after from Hillary, and she's like, you're supposed to be doing happy coffee chat. I'm like, oh. And I realized that that's why I was having all this weird feelings and I was having like anxiety or something. I didn't know what was going on because I knew I was supposed to be doing something, but I couldn't remember what it was. So, and I'm sharing that because when you're supposed to be doing certain things, or you're supposed to be working on your business, or that you're supposed to be whatever it might be, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, it creates anxiety and it creates these feelings of unhappiness. And people want to figure out, like, they're always looking for a reason, like, I need this medication or that medication or this or that or whatever. It was funny. I was talking to a friend the other night, and she has ADD, which I also have ADD. And we were talking about, like, I haven't taken Adderall or anything like that in 20 plus years. And, it was funny in our conversation, she was arguing the fact that I need this and whatever. And it's funny how when we tell ourselves a story, and I remembered when I was that person, and I remember saying, I can't do this because of that. I can't do this because of this. I can't do this. As soon as this happens, as soon as that happens, that's where all this is coming from, because we tell ourselves stories and we take that as being reality, and it's not reality. So when I decided to just say, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go do it. I literally went from making no money to making $3,000 that month overnight, like making nothing for 2 years, really. And then boom, I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But I had worked on the skill set. I did actually do the personal development, read the books, and do a lot of that stuff when I wasn't doing the business. And I'm saying that because I was the person that got on the Zooms when we didn't have Zooms. We had weekly meetings, and I showed up every week and never had a guest. I just showed up every week, They said half of being successful is just showing up. And they used to say stuff like, if basically, I forgot exactly, like if you don't need the meeting, meeting needs you. And if you, basically, I forgot exactly how I know Brian knows exactly because I'm sure he's heard it a million times. But we had weekly briefings that we went to. And basically, it was, basically the meeting needs you or you need the meeting. And what I can tell you is that I need the meeting. So some of y'all get on this because you're learning and you're growing. And some people will just show up and keep showing up because they're getting things to where they're learning and sharpening their axe and feeling better. And when we're growing, because we're either growing or we're dying. So when we're growing, we feel like we're getting a benefit and we'll stick around. And another saying I used to hear all the time, stick and stay, you'll get your pay. Most people quit 3 feet from the goal. Most people quit right before they get to the promised land. And then they're finding excuses and reasons on why they're not where they want to be. And a lot of it has to do with limiting beliefs that they have about themselves. So I'm sharing all this because I want you to have an awareness of what's real and what's not real. And I remember one of the first books that I read when I actually got into personal development. So I had a mentor. I was a horseshoer, and I had a mentor when I was a horseshoer. And this guy was super busy. He was like the head of every association you can imagine. He was building a plane on the side. He was a pilot. He was all this stuff. And he was a horseshoer and he was teaching me. And the guy was like always perfect about being on time. And he had all these standards that he set for himself. And I'm like his whole thing was if he wasn't early, he was late. And I'm like, how do you have time to do all this stuff? And he said, Chris, I went to this training where I got to see the way things really were. And he said, basically, he said, what I learned is that we have time for anything that we make important. He said, we have time for everything in our life that we make important. And it's a matter of you deciding what's important in your life. And then you just basically set a standard for yourself and do that. So I was like really blown away by the way that this guy lived his life. And then one day he tells me, he goes, remember that seminar thing I told you about? He's like, well, it's coming to town and, you know, I think you should go. And I was like, well, cool. What is it exactly? It's like a seminar. And he really didn't tell me anything. He didn't tell me anything about it. And he's like, and it's $500. And I remember being like 20 years old, 20 or 21. And I was sitting there going, $500 to go to a training or something, to go to a whatever. And like, so I go talk to my mom. My mom is like, and this is something I'll say all the time, but I said, well, do you think I ought to go? And she said, Chris, the worst thing that can happen is you stay the same. So anytime you step out of your comfort zone in life, the worst thing that can happen is you stay the same. So basically I went. In fact, he was so adamant that he felt I was going to get value. I wasn't really making a lot of money. And at the time I was flaky and like, you know, I worked with them and it didn't work with them. And I was going to be a horseshoer and I was like kind of quitting on myself. And he believed in me and he said, look, I'll pay for it and you just pay me back. When I told my mom about it and all that, she's like, no, I'll pay for it and you can pay me back. But I think you should go. And guys, that was the first event where I got to see, it was all these processes set up to where I got to experience something on the way that it was when I did it. And I got to reframe where there were these A/B processes that we did with people. And we got to see how it was. And we would talk about a great event in our life or a traumatic event in our life. And we talked about it from a place where it just happened to us. And we talked about it from a place where we controlled it. And I'm sharing all that because when we talk about the story that we tell ourselves, the first book that I read, I got from this event and it was called Illusions. And in that book, it talked about how, and what I got from it was that everything is an illusion. That everything is based on your point of view or your perspective, but is that the way that it is? Like there are certain things that are the way that it is. Like, you know, rocks are hard, water is wet. Like that's the way that it is. Like there is no gray, right? It's like a rock is hard or it's not a rock, right? And water is wet. That's just the way that it is. But then there's all these other things that have to do with perception. And I'm sharing this because much of it is the perception that you have is the story that you tell yourself based on however you were raised, your childhood. And we were all trained by parents, weren't we? Most of us had parents. And they did the best that they could. And they also screwed us up in many ways, like jacked us up in so many different ways. And it's funny as we're raising these little animals around this place too. And we're sitting here going, you know, sometimes we might not necessarily react or respond the best way. And we're sitting here going, oh my God, we're screwing our kids up, right? Just the way that we do things. But the thing is that everything in life, we get to learn through experience. So I just wanted to share all that to share this. When you work on your skill set, when you work on sharpening your axe, then many times the fear of actually doing it gets a lot easier. So what we want to do is we're going to start off and I need a volunteer. Do we have somebody that I don't necessarily know, that I haven't sat and spent a lot of time talking, and where I don't know everything about you? And all
I'll be a volunteer, Chris.
Who is that? Is that Gavin? I already know you.
I just like volunteering.
Do you want to volunteer?
Yeah, or Kelly. You can volunteer.
Let's vote
Kelly.
on Gavin. Do we want Gavin on this?
No. All right. I volunteer Carly Samatis.
Are we using Carly?
I'll do it.
Now we are.
Okay. So Carly, what we're going to talk about right now is form. And we heard Colin talk a little bit about this the other night. And so in business, you want to be, and I want you to always come from a place of love and always come from a place of doing everything with the right intentions. But I'm going to use some analogies that I just want to lay that out because I know somebody can find something about everything. But you want to be like the Terminator on the inside, but like 007 on the outside. Does that make sense? So like you want to be like when somebody hits you with a objection or whatever, you want to be like, you know, the Terminator and inside, like I'm going to take care of this. But then you got to do it smooth to where they have no idea that you want to do it like James Bond, right? Calm, cool, collected. So what we're going to do is we're going to build form real quick. And guys, this is going to be a little bit more methodical because this is for purposes of showing everyone. But if I'm doing this with the average person, they don't know that I'm doing it and it doesn't come across like I'm interrogating them. Okay. Where right now it might seem like that. So Carly, what do you do, by the way? Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Are you married? Do you have kids?
I have a boyfriend and I live in a small town and I just have my own business, do my own thing.
Awesome. What is your own thing, by the way?
Do you want me to
I don't know. I mean, when you say I do my own thing, like what's your own thing?
Like, do you want me to say happy coffee or do you want me to like
whatever you want? There is no, so
all
I'm doing is just connecting, getting to know people. Like everywhere I go, I'm always connecting with people and building relationships.
I work for the post office, so I deliver mail.
Oh, sweet. How long you been doing that?
For a couple of years now.
Oh, wow. You must love it then.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Okay. So guys, what you want to realize is that in order to communicate, people need to disagree. So if you basically say, wow, that must suck. You have to go out in the rain and you got to deliver mail when it's, snowing and all that stuff. Then she'd say, well, it's not that bad. And she'll tell me about all the wonderful things about her job. Oh, the benefits are amazing, right? But if I say you must love it, does what she did. Well, it's okay. It pays the bills. People will say stuff like that. And then what that's doing is opening it up for you to basically come in later and mention something. So you've been doing it for 2 years. What made you decide to get into that?
Somebody told me about it and I wanted just something better, like more money, more of a better schedule, not working so much. So I applied for it and I got the job.
Sweet. Is that like your dream job or?
No, not really.
What would you rather be doing?
I would rather be at home, have my own schedule, not have to get called in, not be limited on a fixed income all the time.
Do you have any kids?
No.
Cool. So let me ask you this. What do you like most about your job?
I like that I am pretty efficient at it. So I get done at a decent time every day. So I start early and then I usually have the rest of my day to do stuff, except if I have to help other people with their routes.
So you can kind of like set your own schedule and that's
kind of, yeah.
Gotcha. What do you like least about it?
Getting called in and having to work in the snow and the rain and the cold and the hot. So.
Gotcha. So what do you do in your free time? Like, what do you do for fun?
I listen to music, I work out, I go for drives.
Like
See
when
new
you go for a drive,
places.
like where do you go for a drive? Like,
Sometimes I'll go to the coast, the beach, I'll go to different towns, I'll explore.
and where do you live, Carly?
I live in Lebanon in Oregon.
Oh, wow.
It's a small town.
Gotcha. So like if you won the lottery, what would you do in your free time?
Not be in Oregon.
But
I
what
would
would
be
you do if you
traveling.
won the lottery?
I would travel. I would really just travel. I would go to different places, see new things,
Gotcha.
help my family out.
So like so guys, I kind of went over because she didn't talk about kids and stuff like that. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on family. And because she didn't elaborate a whole lot on the boyfriend, I didn't really go a lot into that. But we talked a little bit about her job. I want to find out about what somebody does, how long they've been doing it, what do they like about it, what do they like least about it, because these are all things that are going to tell me little things about what it is that motivates her and what drives her. So then I'm asking her, it's also telling me the things that she likes and what she doesn't like about her job. Then later on, when we're talking about the business, we'll be able to kind of focus in on the things that she loves, but then, not focus in on the things that she doesn't like. Make sense? And then the reason why I asked the question, and I don't always ask the question, but it all depends on how it's coming up. It's always a lot more awkward doing it in this kind of format, but I want to find out what motivates her. Like if money wasn't an issue, what would she do with her free time? What I like about the lottery question is it normally will tell me what personality style they are as well. When we talk about reds, blues, yellows, greens, reds are money driven, blues are fun driven, yellows are all about helping people, and greens are all about, well, let me research and talk to my CPA before I make that decision. And they'll kind of give you an idea what personality they are when they say that. Well, she made multiple comments about traveling and having fun. So it tells me that her dominant is blue, but then there's also a lot of yellow there as well, because she mentioned multiple times about wanting to help people, helping people on the routes with, with her job, as well as, helping family and stuff like that if she won the lottery, right? So these are things that will tell you what personality style they are. Now, you're not going to be at the grocery store and be going, tell me about your family. Tell me about your occupation. Tell me, like that's weird. But what you'll find is through communication, when you're just general talking with people, what you have to realize is that people's number one subject on the planet is themselves. So if we ask people a lot about them, they will love you and won't even know why. Like there's been times when I sat next to someone on the plane and I just asked them questions the whole time, and they talked the whole time, and I just asked questions and just was intrigued in them the whole time. And then we get off the plane and I didn't really say anything about me. And they were like, it was so amazing talking to you. It was great. And all that. And they think that it was the best conversation in the world because they talked the whole time. Because people's number one subject is themselves. So the more that you can basically talk to them. So what Susan's saying is she's talking about mirroring. So what I will also do is what we call match and mirroring. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to match and mirror their tonality. If they're talking really fast, I'm going to talk faster. If they talk slow, I will slow myself down. If they have certain tonality in their voice, I'm going to match and mirror their tone. I'm going to match and mirror their physiology. If they're sitting here like this with their arms crossed. Yesterday, we had some police officers come and visit us. My daughter was riding a four-wheeler on the levee, and somebody called and said something, whatever, and the cops came. And my daughter and my buddies son pull up and they're like, oh, the cops are going to be coming over here. And we're like, okay. The cops go out there and I immediately go, I told them to run from me if they saw you. These kids don't listen nowadays, you know, and started off with fun. Ended up talking to them for probably 30 minutes or so. But one of the officers was sitting here like this. So I sat there like that, because people like themselves. They're their number one subject. So anybody that is like them, how many of us hang out with people like themselves, right? Or do you hang out with people that are totally different than you, that you can barely talk to because you have nothing in common? It doesn't happen. People like themselves, and we're attracted and we gravitate towards people that we have things in common with. So when I'm also doing this, if she would have started talking about kids, then I would have been talking about kids as well. I would have been, oh, how many kids do you have? And I would have been matching and mirroring and having things in common with her as we're talking about that, right? So these are all things. So these are basically things that I just want you to pay attention to, have an awareness, and then practice. Okay. So now what we're going to do, thank you so much, Carly. So now what we're going to do, oh, by the way, like how much money would you need to make to get away from your, I mean, and this could be doesn't have to be like a real life, you know, how much money do you need to get away from your job in front of everybody and all that stuff. But let's just make up some numbers right now as we're talking, as practice or whatever. But hey, you know, like what's your dream income, Carly?
Dream income, probably 100 grand a month.
Okay, 100 grand a month. How would your life be different if you had 100 grand a month coming in?
My family's life would be different. My dad's life, my mom's life, everybody that I know. And I would just be able to travel the world and just see new places and new things and just explore.
Y'all hear that yellow and that blue coming out in that conversation, huh? Everything's, oh, I want to help everybody, my mom and dad, right? So what else would be different?
I would have my dream car. I would probably have my dream house. I would
What
feel
kind of car would you
satisfied
have?
because probably the new Audi R8.
What color?
Black.
Black. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you going to live?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
If you did know, where would it be? You said you don't want to be in Oregon.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe California at the beach.
Which part of California?
Malibu.
Gotcha. So guys, what we want to do is we want to get them to start dreaming and start thinking about what it would be like. Now, this is the reality. People can only see past maybe double what they make now. So yes, she says, I want to make $100,000 a month. Is it safe to say that you're not making 50 right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sharing that because everybody says, everybody want to, right? Like everybody has like this big number that they have, but what Carly really believes is possible normally is close to where they're making now. It's like people might be able to see double, right? They might be able to see double. And the reason why we talk about affirmations and creating a different mindset and raising your thermostat is because you can change it and change your belief systems by basically repeating over and over and over a different reality, because life is an illusion and it's not real. It's all based on what we believe is real. So just wanted to throw that out there. So now let's go over some objections. What are some objections that people get? Now, this is where people actually participate and they throw out some things.
I don't have any time.
Okay, don't have the time. All right, I'm going to start throwing some things out because y'all are taking a long time with this and we don't have the time.
My husband or wife doesn't think it's a good idea.
Got to talk to my spouse. All right. Is this like Amway? Is this a pyramid? Does anybody get that?
Yeah, it's a pyramid.
I'm not good at sales.
I'm not good at sales. I don't have the money, don't have the time.
I don't know very many people.
I don't know many people. I want to think about it. I want a salary. Do you have benefits? Anybody get that one?
Talk to the doctor.
Wait, what is that?
Got to talk to the doctor.
Got to talk to my doctor.
Talk to the doctor. They have prescriptions.
Got it. Anybody heard that? I want to pray about it. I tried before. Didn't work out. A friend of mine, I had a friend who failed. Anybody get that one before? I wrote some things down that I was thinking that people would get. You know, are you going to build my team for me? Is this one of them cults? Anybody heard that one before? Everybody's happy and stuff. It's a cult. Basically, I want to be the trainer. I'm not good at sales. I'm not outgoing. I don't know anyone. Are these some of the things that people have heard before? Because we're going to go knock them out. Bam, 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 bam. All right. So let's start off with the pyramid one. Has anybody got that pyramid one before? Yes. Okay. So let's go over a couple things on how to set things up. You said it's a cult, I don't care because I'm happy. I love it. So I'm like distracted by the stupid mustache as I'm even looking at myself. So let's go over a couple things. When we're covering objections, there's a couple things you want to do. One is attack and confess. That is almost like the feel, felt, found.
Why are you so silly?
All right, let me get some.
Why?
All right. So we got feel, felt, found. And so how does feel, felt, found work? It's basically, you know what? I know exactly how you feel because I felt the same way, but this is what I found out. And that's something that you can use on most every objection. So if you don't know anything but that one, and it'll help you, they say, is this one of those pyramid things? You know what? I said the same silly. Now attack and confess would be this. I said the same silly thing, but this is what I found out. So you can start off with that. Another way to start off with objections is repeating whatever they said. So if they say, is this a pyramid? You go, a pyramid with a silly face, like especially if you're with them. So you make like a dumb face, like a pyramid. I don't have the money. You don't have the money. Or, you know, I want to think about it. Think about it. Like you just repeat back whatever they say with a silly face, right? We're just like, think about it. Whatever. You're not good at sales. Oh, you sold me on that one. You know, and you just basically repeat back whatever their objection is. Normally their first two objections are their strongest ones. That's like, and then the rest are just to aggravate you. It's just kind of trying to find a reason, right? So let's go in. Then another one is ignore, where you just ignore. Like for any of you that are married, you know what I'm talking about. Like your wife or your husband say something, you just ignore them. You're like, you know, can we watch, like you're flipping through the channels and they're like, oh, I want to watch that show. Click, click, click. You just ignore and you're like, we're not stopping right there. I'm not watching that girly show. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Anybody know what I'm talking about, right? So it's the ignore one. And you could use that also. You just ignore it whenever they're saying it because sometimes people are just saying stuff just to be silly. So let's knock these things out. Pyramid. Now, if I was actually sitting down with them and I could draw it out and all that, I might draw and I'm like, so let's talk about that. First off, and I'm like, I'll say a dumb face pyramid and I might say, what is that? And then they're going to start explaining some weird stuff that, well, you know, like the one that's on the top and the guy at the top, whatever. And I'm like, and then I'll just go, kind of sounds to me like you're explaining like a job or corporate America, doesn't it? Like, isn't there like a CEO at the top and there's a president and there's there's a bunch of sales managers and under that, there's a bunch of managers. And then under that, then there's just like the normal employees and stuff like that. And there's a whole lot more of them. That's just like a pyramid you're talking about, right? And they'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, kind of like that. So yeah, I mean, if you're trying to, you know, liken this to like some of the most successful companies on the planet that have a person at the top and all that stuff. Yeah, we're just like that. And then I just laugh and I'm like, yeah, I mean, of course. But I said, so if you could be at the top of the pyramid or at the bottom of the pyramid, which one would you prefer? Well, I'd rather be at the top. Well, what I love most about this is when you start off here, you start off at the top and you can build your corporate triangle as big as you possibly want it. And there's no limitations to how big you can build your team. Now, Carly, you did tell me that you wanted to make $100,000 a month, didn't you? Well, if you want to make $100,000 a month, you'd probably be better off starting at the top of your corporate triangle than at the bottom, wouldn't you? So now I'm going to use what Carly's already told me to basically bring her back into her dream zone to basically cover the objection. Well, if that's the case, and it makes sense for you to get started right now. So, hey, let's get you fill out your paperwork, or let's get you enrolled online. So, and then we just get it done. Hey, is there anything else you need to know before you're ready to get started? Well, you know, I need to think about it. Hey, look, I can totally appreciate it. You want to think about it. But haven't you been thinking about making $100,000 a month for quite some time? Like, do you need to think any more about that? I mean, is that something that you have to really go think about? Because you did tell me earlier that you wanted to have an Audi. What was it, an A8? Like, you did say that you wanted a black Audi A8. Like, how long have you been thinking about that? So now I'm just using all the things that basically I've talked to Carly about to get her tied into her dream on why this makes sense. Does that make sense to everybody? And I could go on the pyramid over and over and over with a bunch of different ways. Pyramids, aren't those in Egypt? Like, you know, or aren't those illegal? And then they say, well, yeah. And I say, well, we're a public company. So I would say that considering that we have all these lawyers and all this other stuff, that we're not an illegal pyramid scheme, that is a public company. So, so you can handle that multiple different ways. But what I'll also share with you, if you're getting the pyramid objection, it boils down to you're talking too much. You're talking too much. And you're saying a bunch of stuff like you can bring in people that whatever and blah, blah. You're talking too much. Be quiet. We're talking about a cup of coffee and you're not going to get the pyramid. I haven't heard that in however many years. And if somebody says, is this network marketing? The way that I answer that, many people go, well, you know, it's kind of, I'm like, absolutely. And I'm like, you love network marketing as well? And I will assume that they would want to do network marketing as well, because, and I'll say something like, absolutely it is. I won't do anything that I can't leverage my time. I mean, you like to get paid from the efforts of others, don't you? Hey, Carly, earlier when you told me that you wanted to make $100,000 a month, do you think that's going to happen by you working by yourself or by you developing a sales team and getting paid off the efforts of other people as well? Because, you know, I remember one of the first books I read, it was about John Paul Getty, and he said that he would rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of his own. And the only way to truly create massive leverage is network marketing, to where you can really leverage your efforts off the efforts of others. That can also cover the time. Oh, I don't have the time. Don't have the time. You know what? I said the same silly thing, but what I realized is that I was drinking a cup of coffee anyway. Like, you drink coffee every day, don't you? Yeah. Well, how much extra time does it take to do what you're already doing? You're already doing it, aren't you? Well, yeah. Well, do you know anybody else that drinks coffee or tea? Well, yeah, I mean, I know people that drink coffee or tea everywhere. Well, how much time does it take to ask someone if they've tried the happy coffee that everyone's been talking about? Like, don't you think you could do that in just a couple minutes? See, what I love about this company is it's one of the only companies specifically designed for people that don't have a lot of time, because it's stuff that you're already doing. So I love the fact that you say you don't have time, because I mean, I have 24 hours in my day. How many do you have? Oh, you have 24 hours too? Well, can we agree that it's not necessarily that you don't have the time, but maybe what you're doing with your time? What if there was a way where I can show you how to go out there and share a cup of coffee with people and then create a secondary income. And if you had another income coming in, whether you were working or not, what would that give you more of? Time? Oh, no way. Oh, yeah, I love working with smart people. Carly, high five. Boom. So the thing is I'm just going to, and I can handle that multiple different ways. But you just basically say, don't have the time. I'm so glad you said that. So almost anything that they say as well, you can say, I'm so glad you said that. I don't like coffee. I'm so glad you said that. There's one of the only coffee companies that is specifically designed for people that don't like coffee. Because we have a capsule, we have a tea, we have a lemonade, we have all kinds of stuff. But you do like to be happy, don't you? Well, yeah, I love being happy. Well, then you're going to love this stuff here. I'm going to give you some capsules, boom, and I'm going to just basically cover that. So I think we covered the time, did we? Does everybody feel we covered the time? All right. Nobody's shaking their head. Great. Thank you. Only the people at the top make the money. Again, that basically goes, well, would you rather start off at the top, or would you rather start off at a company at the bottom? And then, you know, basically there can only be one president, there could be only one, whatever. And would you agree if people that been there longer, it's very unlikely that you'll ever be on the top. Well, hey, in our business, you get to start off the top, boom. And that covers it. You can kind of cover that one the same with the pyramid objection. I have a friend who tried it before. Does anybody have a friend that tried something before? Like, you know, and I'll just say, Carly, you know, it's amazing that you say that, but let me ask you this. Did you ever play sports? Well, yeah. Did you ever have a friend that went out for the team and tried out and basically didn't make it, but you did? Well, yeah. Well, if you did in your sports life, like you do in your business life, like, wouldn't it be really silly, like for you to say, well, you know, my friend that could barely walk didn't make the football team. And basically, you know, I'm not going to go try because my friend didn't try. Like that would be silly, wouldn't it? Well, you're not very silly. Are you, Carly? So it makes sense. Or I might say, well, how often do you compare? There's another way to cover my friend tried it before. How often do you compare yourself to people that fail, Carly? So I'll ask the question, how often do you compare yourself to people that fail? Because, you know, would you agree there's many times there's successful people that do all kinds of things when people told them that it wasn't possible, or other people tried it, or, hey, I tried to do that. Have you ever had a situation in your life where somebody said, hey, I tried that didn't work, and you did it and you showed them that it can be done? Because wouldn't you agree if people are already doing it, that it can be done? And if they can do it, it's possible that you could do it as well. Well, you did tell me earlier that you want to make $100,000 a month, right? Well, if you're basically making your decisions based on people that failed, that doesn't make any sense, does it? So basically, and I can cover that every single objection I can cover 50 different ways, but I'm going to bring them back to their goals over and over and over. I'm going to keep bringing them back. Build my team before. Well, if I was going to build your team, why do we need you here anyway? Welfare doesn't work in any aspect of life. And if you're just looking for somebody to do something for you, you might as well stay living with your mom. Let her clean your clothes. And basically, you're not the type of person that I really want to work with. And normally it's cocky people that will say something like that. So that might be a red. So with reds, you can challenge, especially a girl can challenge a red. Or if I'm talking to a red and they're like, well, you know, are you going to build my team or whatever? And basically I might say, well, look, if you don't think you can do it, I'll find a girl that can. And basically it depends on who I'm talking to and how I'm going to challenge them, but I'm going to say something to, well, I'm not saying I can't do it. Oh, so you're somebody that likes to talk about what you can do, but you don't like to act on anything that you say. Oh, okay, I got you. But I'm going to do it in a fun, friendly way and all that. And it also depends on their personality. With a yellow, I'm not going to be that aggressive. I'm going to be a lot more subdued. Carly, you did say that you wanted to be able to help your mom and your dad and help them retire and all that stuff. And so it wouldn't even be that personality that is even going to say, build my team for me. I think it was Susan already handled is it a cult? Yeah, we're a happy cult. So, I mean, if you want to be a part of something, if you want to be a part of a group of happy people, then this is definitely the cult you want to be a part of. That's funny. But no, we're not a cult. I'm not in the sales, or I'm not outgoing, kind of cover both of these. I'm not in sales. You know what? I'm so glad you said that, because normally salespeople don't do as well at our company because they're trying to be pushy and sell people with whatever. Would you agree that you know people that already drink coffee and tea? Yes. Well, do you have to be a good salesperson to ask them if they've ever tried the happy coffee that everyone's been talking about? Like, no, you don't have to be good at that at all. What I love most about this is that the product does most of the heavy lifting for us. When most people, when they're on our product for 30 days, they see the results. And what happens is, more importantly, their friends and family notice the results. And what happens is people will start saying, what is it that you're doing? I can notice a difference. There's something that changed. And that's when you just share your story on what's happening. Now, you don't have to be good at sales to be able to share a story on what you experienced. Wouldn't you agree? Like, by the way, what do you like most about the coffee? And then what I'm going to have them tell me is what they like most about it and basically what they are feeling. And then they're going to explain it to me. I'm like, you know what, Carly, you had me fooled. You told me you weren't good at sales, but you just explained to me what it did for you in such a good way where if it did that for you, what would it do for me? Like, I want to try this stuff. And what I love most about this is all you have to do is tell stories and connect them to other people and let them tell stories. So you don't have to be good at sales. Now, Carly, is it safe to say you're not a professional basketball player? Oh, no, I'm not. Right. Okay, great. So, but do you know how to dribble a ball? Yes, I do. Great. Well, if all you had to do, Carly, is basically you get out on the court, you dribble the ball, Michael Jordan runs by, and you pass the ball to Michael Jordan, let him slam dunk it, and then you get paid to where you can drive that Audi A8. Can you do that? Well, yeah, I can do that. See that? You're going to do great at this because you don't have to be great at sales. What you have to be is great at loving on people and helping people. You did say earlier that you wanted to help people, didn't you? Awesome. You're going to do great at this, Carly. I totally believe that you're going to be able to rock this thing out. Boom. So I think that covers the I'm not good at sales. And I think it also, how about this one? I need to pray about it. Well, Carly, I mean, like, are you going to be praying for the first time tonight? Like, or have you been praying about it? Like, haven't you already been praying? Like, God, show me something. Like, do you think God's going to put up on a big billboard, like, Carly, sell coffee, like on a billboard? No, it doesn't work like that. And what's been happening is you've been praying already for God to show you something. How do you know this isn't it? So that's how I'd handle that. I want to pray about it before. Hey, look, I can totally appreciate that. I pray about everything. But what I could tell you is I've been praying for a long time. And what I didn't want to do, like, and I might even tell the story about the guy that was praying, the floodwaters came up, there was a hurricane, and basically the city came in and had the fire trucks and said, hey, come on, jump on the fire truck. Let's get out of here. Get on the fire truck. You need to get out. The water's about to come up. And then, no, God's going to take care of me. I've been praying and staying on the porch. And then basically the water starts to come up and the dude's up on his roof. And then basically they come by in a boat and they're like, come on, jump in the boat. Jump in the boat. Come on. We're going to take you to safety. And it's, oh no, I've been praying. God's going to take care of me for this. Right. And then basically he's up in a tree and they send a helicopter. And then, again, no, I've been praying. I'm going to take care of it. So there's the thing. Many times God is sending people in your life to basically be that sign or be that savior for you. How do you know that this isn't it? How do you know this isn't what you've been praying for? So that might be some ways that I would handle the pray. I don't know anyone. Well, I'm willing to bet. I mean, everybody knows 6 people. At least you need 6 to 8 people to carry your coffin when you pass away. So everybody knows at least 6 people. And what I love most about this is it's not about who you know, but it's who do they know? So then I might say, well, who do you know that I know? And they might say, oh, well, Mary. I'm like, well, who do you know that Mary knows? Well, Dave. Who do you know that Dave knows? Mike. Who do you know that Mike knows? Shannon. Who do you know that Shannon knows? Boom. So it's not who you know, but would you agree that everybody that you know other people that you might know, but they also know people that you don't know? So what I love about this business is that it's about showing people how to get paid on their social equity. See, like in in life, you have to have equity, like in your house, you have to have equity in your house. Well, you have a social equity, whether it be in your phone or on your Facebook and all that. You already know people that know people that know people. Wouldn't you agree? See, it's not about who you know, but it's about who they know. And what I love most about this business is most people, when they start sharing this with people, those people start sharing with people and they have a choice. They could get paid for sharing with people, or they'll refer them to you and you could get paid. Most people say that they want to get paid. Wouldn't you agree? Great. Are you the type of person that likes to throw away money? Well, no, then it just makes sense for you to get started today. Boom. And then that might be a way that I would cover that one. I want to talk to my spouse. Look, I can totally appreciate you want to talk to your spouse, but do you have to call your spouse every time you want to go to Starbucks and buy a cup of coffee? I mean, I can appreciate saying you want to talk to your spouse, but we're talking about coffee and we're not talking about a lot of money. It's less than what you would spend at a Starbucks. In fact, it's about like going to the gas station and buying a cup of coffee every day. Now, do you have to ask your wife permission every time you go to the gas station and buy a cup of, or you spend $1 or $2? Well, no. I'm like, all right, well, then I don't think your wife's going to get mad at you if you basically buy some coffee. So that might be a way. Again, I'm going to match and mirror the personality on the way that I'm going to do that. I'm not going to shame them or whatever. And I can handle that multiple different ways. But that's the way that I might, because I don't even get that one. But I used to. So I tried before and it didn't work. All right. Anybody heard that one before? I tried one of those things before and it didn't work. Well, this is the way I handle that. I say, well, let me ask you this. Have you ever eaten something that didn't agree with you? And they say, yes. I'm like, well, did you quit eating or did you keep eating? Apparently you kept eating because you're here. So the fact that you tried it before, people are like, people really ask their spouse. But basically, if you've tried things before that didn't agree with you, I can totally appreciate that you tried things before, but wouldn't you agree that many times, like let's just use the NFL, for example, like there's a whole bunch of teams, aren't there, right? Like there's the Saints, there's, Tampa, there's this team, there's that team, there's that, whatever. Well, wouldn't you agree that some teams are better than other teams? Well, yeah, some teams are Super Bowl teams and some people don't even go to the playoffs. Well, is it possible that you just joined the wrong team? Because what I can tell you with our team and our company, most people that get started, they'll just follow a very simple system. Like if I teach you a very simple 4-step system, you can follow it, can't you? Yeah, great. So what I love about this is that we have a system. And earlier you told me that you wanted to be driving an A8 and whatever, and that you know how to dribble a ball. All you need to be able to do is pass the ball to someone else, let them take the shot and you get paid. So what I love about this is whether you try it before or not, you could have went out in the court and thrown the ball at the basket over and over and over and not made it. But over here, you don't have to do that. You just pass the ball to somebody else, let them slam dunk it. So you get to learn while you earn. Make sense? So I might basically cover it that way. But also I might say, well, are you married? And they say, well, yes. And I'm like, well, I'm really glad that you did the whole thing with the marriage thing different than you do your business, because if you try before and you never try again, I'm sure you didn't marry the first person that you dated. Like we date somebody that didn't work. You didn't go, oh, I tried that before, I'm not doing that again, right? No, you dated somebody else and then you dated somebody else, you dated somebody else, so you found the right fit. What I can tell you is because of the simplicity of what we do, because of the systems, because of the culture that we have here, most people that have tried things before in the past, they'll plug into the system here and actually do it and have massive success. But everybody's different. So that's the way I think I've beat that one to death. Why do I have to pay to get started? Well, you're actually not getting paid to get started. You're actually buying product, and the sampling does most of the product. So if you want to start a business without wouldn't it make sense if you wanted to have a McDonald's franchise that you would actually have to pay for the McDonald's franchise? Yes, but that's $1 million+ that you'd have to have. And if you had that McDonald's franchise, wouldn't it make sense to have burgers? Are you going to say, well, I'll just wait until whatever, and I'm not going to whatever. So the thing is that basically, you have to have inventory if you're going to have a business. And our what we're actually paying for is our inventory to be able to sample in what we do. So if you had a McDonald's, you would have burgers. If you had a Starbucks, you would have coffee. Well, the same thing is here. Basically, it takes money to make money, right? You've heard that before, haven't you? Yes. If you wanted to go cut grass for a living, well, wouldn't you have to go buy a lawnmower? What I love about this is it's less than what it would cost you to buy one lawnmower, not including your weed eater, your whatever. In fact, we're talking about a push lawnmower costs more than what our most aggressive way to get started in our company. In fact, a blower would cost you as much as it is to get started in our company. And what I love about this is that, boom, we have people that have created massive incomes by just helping other people. So I think I've covered that one. Is there any other ones that I didn't cover? Salary. What about a salary do you love so much? Do you think salary was made by the capitalist or not? Like, who benefits from a salary? Basically, some people want security. Well, how secure is it when somebody else decides if you have a job or not? Wouldn't you agree in these crazy times, many people that thought they had security with their salary all of a sudden became deemed not essential employees, and now they're looking for jobs and don't know what to do? Well, how would you like it if you get to decide how much you're worth? Are you the type of person that likes to decide what you're worth, or would you rather somebody else tell you what you're worth? Salary, they tell you what you're worth. Here, you get to decide what you're worth. Hey, it's your choice. You can do what you want, but I really like the fact that I can decide what I'm worth. And you did tell me earlier that you wanted to drive a A8 Audi Black, and you said that you wanted to have $100,000 a month so you could pay off your mom and dad's house and all the other stuff, and you wanted to travel the world and look at all this stuff, and you wanted to buy a place in Malibu. Would you agree that Malibu is not a very cheap place to live? You said you want to live on the beach. So do you think that's going to happen through a salary, or do you think it makes more sense for you to get started in a business where there's proven systems, proven leadership, and all you have to do is plug in, follow a very simple system, leverage your time, and get paid from the efforts of others? That makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? So I think I covered the salary. Anyone else that I didn't cover? I think I got most of them. Does this help anybody? Do you think, now this is the funny part. This morning, somebody was like, oh, it's Julie Dick. She was like, I'm just so amazed by, like, guys, when I started, I sucked. I couldn't do any of this stuff. I've done it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And then what I learned is that it's so much easier to handle objections before you get them, and then you're not handling them. So what does that look like? I might say, you know what, Carly, what I love about this business is the fact that, one, we get to work from home, because earlier she said that she wanted to work from home. And then basically, you did say earlier that you want to make $100,000 a month. And I'm going to basically say, I'm going to cover all the objections. What I love about this is you're never going to have to deal with going out in the rain. You're not going to have to deal with whatever. Everything's going to be handled. Well, you might have to walk out to your mailbox to mail a sample to somebody. I mean, that'll be a little different than going from mailbox to mailbox, but you're going to have to walk out to the thing. So every once in a while, you might have to go out in the rain or snow to do that, but I'm joking. But the point is that I'm going to use all the things that I built rapport with the person to basically use all those things to share with them and resell them their dream over and over and over. And guys, this is just, it comes from practice. And when you're doing it, when you're just connecting with people, it never comes across as weird, or you're interrogating them and asking all these questions. If you're just like, random talking with them, like, oh man, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And they're telling you like, wow, how long have you been doing that? And you just ask them, they're not thinking anything about it if you don't come across weird. And then they're going to say, what do you do? Well, anybody drinks coffee or tea? Well, yeah, everybody drinks coffee or tea. Well, have you heard about that happy coffee everyone's been talking about? No, what is that? Blah, blah. Now, if I ask them, hey, what would you rather be doing with your free time? Well, I'd rather be doing this. I'd rather be doing that. Or what would you rather be doing for work? And I'd say, no way. Another thing that you can say to people is if they say, I am a postal worker. No way. How long have you been doing that? I tell you what, a friend of mine was looking to partner up with a postal worker. I don't know if you keep an open mind when it comes to business or not, but a friend of mine she actually works with a bunch of different people from different backgrounds. What she loves about postal workers is y'all meet all kinds of different people, don't you? Well, yeah, I mean, we come up to house her or whatever, you know, never know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But you could always say, no way, a friend of mine's looking for air-conditioned people. A friend of mine's looking for hairstyles. A friend of mine's looking for whatever. We talked about earlier, we have direct approach, indirect approach. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself a 5. People that you're going to go talk to that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you might want to use the indirect approach, which is, I need your help. Hey, Nietzsche, I know you're a business person. You know, I've always been really blown away by your people skills and stuff like that. Hey, I'm working on a project and I need your help. Do you know anybody that would that keeps an open mind when it comes to business and wouldn't mind earning an additional couple $1,000s a month? Well, what about me? Hey, Nietzsche, I know this probably wouldn't be for you because, I mean, you make so much money now and you're so successful, but I need your help. Do you know anybody that keeps an open mind when it comes to business? I'm working on a project. Well, what is it exactly? Well, do you know anybody who drinks coffee or tea? Everybody drinks coffee or tea. Have you heard about the happy coffee everyone's been talking about? No, what is that? Oh my gosh, a friend of mine shared this with me. Prior to, I was tired, I was eating the whole house, whatever it is, right? And then basically I drank this stuff and in 15 minutes, it blew me away on how I feel. Tell you what, there's a quick video that explains it way better than I can. If you would, if I send this to you, when do you think you could take a whole 5-10 minutes to check out what it is and then let me know if you know anybody that isn't allergic to extra money? Well, I'm not allergic to extra money. So boom, and you can just throw this out there. Yesterday, just followed up with the girl that I exposed to yesterday. She's checked out the video. First thing out of my mouth, I said, hey, did you have a chance to check out the video? She said, yes, I did. I said, can you see why we're so excited? And I said, because I had a friend in the car who's a nurse practitioner who I was talking to about the business, but they're customers, but they're not selling it yet. And I was like, I just basically put us together. And basically I said, can you see why we're so excited? She goes, I really can. I was blown away by everything. She goes, there's all kinds of cool products in there. I said, that's awesome. I said, hey, is there anything you can't get out of tomorrow night? And she said, well, no, I work in the morning. I'm off, whatever. And I'm like, great. I'm going to drop by some capsules tomorrow morning at work. And then basically tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we're going to have an overview that'll fill in all the gaps on exactly how the business works and stuff like that. You could be on that, can't you? Yes, I can. And then another girl I followed up with that I was hanging out with Saturday night, I sent her the information. I said, did you check out the video yet? She goes, no, I didn't. I said, are you going to be able to look at it tonight or tomorrow? Alternative closing question. I'm going to close with this because we're at 9 o'clock. Alternative closing questions. I said, do you want me to call you back tonight or tomorrow? She said, well, I'm going to check it out tonight. I said, great. Then I'll call you tomorrow. She said, perfect. And I said, is there anything else you can't get out of tomorrow night at 7 o'clock? She said, no, I should be able to make it. I said, great. So if you get as excited like everybody else does after you check out the video and we decide that we want to go further from there, I'm going to basically get you on this call tomorrow night. You can check out and see why people are just tearing this thing up. And you'll see why we're just, and I keep using social proof. You'll see why everybody's doing it. You'll see why, and I just use positive. Last thing, assumptive.
True Timmy.
All right, we had some naughty unmuters. Last thing, done. Always assume the sale. Assume that people are going to be working with you. Assume, based on everything that they told you, that if they don't do this, that they're crazy. Assume that everybody wants to do this. Assume that everybody wants to join your team. Assume that if they don't do this, there's something wrong with them, and then you never have to worry about feeling objections or any kind of stuff which doesn't even exist. I hope you guys got value tonight. Appreciate you all. We'll unmute everybody. And we can say goodnight. I don't know how to unmute.
Thank you, Chris.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Always great.
Thank you.
Thank you
Great
so much.
valuable, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
You rock,
Thanks.
dude.
Bye. Thank you. That was awesome.
I'm trying to close.
Love you, Chris.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
I love you.